Hey, Clayton, if heaven is perfect, why does Jesus create a new heavens and a new earth when he returns? This is a really good question. And I think there is a lot of confusion about how the afterlife and the eternal state work for people. And so sometimes when we talk about God making a new heavens and a new earth after Jesus returns, people say, I don't get it. This seems complicated. I just thought that when you die, you go to heaven, which is a perfect place. And why wouldn't you want to be in heaven? That's where our loved ones go. That's where we go when we die. And why don't we just stay there? Why would God do something in addition to that later? And so it gets a little bit confusing. So let me distinguish between two things, okay? There is what we call the intermediate state and the final state, okay? The intermediate state is where people go when they die right now, okay? Before Jesus comes back, where do they go? And what we know about that from the New Testament is that we go to be with Jesus where he is, which is in heaven. It is better by far. We are resting from our labor. We are no longer suffering, and it is good, right? So we know this, okay? And we have some inkling of awareness that people are before God's throne, worshiping and praying, and have some awareness of the ongoing battle that's going on earth. So we have a sense that that's going on right now, and it is a good thing. But when Jesus returns, so that's what we call the intermediate state, because it's in between this life and our final destination. The final state is what happens after Jesus returns, and he wipes evil from the world, and he remakes the world. And it says God will make a new heaven and a new earth. And actually what it describes is heaven descends and is united with earth, and they actually become one. The place of God and the place of people become one place, a new heaven and a new earth, which actually is just this one place. And so people hear that and they say, that's a little different than what I thought. It's not what people assume is the case. But then a question like this feels very natural. Okay, well, if heaven's a good place, like, if my grandma's in heaven right now and she's having a great time, why would we need a new place for us to be? Why can't we just be in heaven? Why would we do this? Here's what I like to say. Heaven right now is sinless, but it is not perfect. You might say, that is not what I thought. Of course it's perfect. No. It's a little bit like saying, these ingredients are pure, but they aren't cookies, at least not yet. You get that? Okay. Like there's one thing about saying, hey, these chocolate chips, this flour, these eggs, all of these things, these are good ingredients. They're quality ingredients. There's nothing wrong with these ingredients, but that does not mean they are in the final state you want them to be, right? Like it's great that we have this. It's all laid out. It's ready to go, but we are still waiting for you to mix up that cookie dough and to stick it in the oven, and for the time to come when the ding happens and they're finally cool enough and I can get a glass of milk and eat those cookies, okay? I think suddenly this question's getting a little off track. But this is the idea. Heaven's wonderful. Heaven is fantastic, but it is not ultimately what God's goal is. God is not lining up some eggs and flour and chocolate chips. He is making cookies. And so God's goal in creation is for heaven and earth to be united, because what God did when he made the world, he wanted a world, okay? So if sin had never entered the world, what would we have? We would have a world where human beings, descendants of Adam and Eve, lived in the world in sinless joy, in perfect harmony with God. God's presence would be with us in the world, and God hasn't abandoned that dream. He still wants this world with him in it. What God's intention was to do was to make a world where he could dwell with his people, and his people could rule the world on his behalf, and together we could make something of the world with God. It's pretty cool. He also intended for us to have a physical life, right? With bodies and souls that are united. We were never meant to be souls that were floating off someplace else. He made us initially with bodies, a physical and spiritual component together, and it's always his intention to have both of those things, which is why the resurrection of the dead, the resurrection of the physical bodies that you and I have, are so important, okay? The separation of the body and soul is not ideal, which means those who are in heaven, whose bodies have not yet been raised, while they are not in sin and they are not in suffering, they are not yet in their bodies, which means they are not complete. They're still waiting for something better than what they currently have. So heaven is sinless, but it is not perfect, because resurrection is the goal. Thanks for listening. If you've got your own questions, email questions@BibleSavvy.com. Like and subscribe to catch our regular episodes every Monday on the Bible Savvy Podcast.